Dr. Carson is on the phone with us right now. Dr. Carson, I'm here with my friend Montel Williams, who I was going to say some nice stuff about, but you saved me from that burden. What did you think of the president's speech, Doctor?
Well, you know, he has a tendency to describe things as he wishes they were, as opposed to how they actually are. And I thought it was fascinating, the very positive spin that he put on the economy, for instance. How we've cut the unemployment rate in half. But he didn't say anything about the labor force participation rate, which is at historic lows. You know, he talks about, you know, climate control and how that is such an important factor. Doesn't talk about the costs versus the benefits of, for instance, his climate control, plan, which the EPA has looked at. And they've said that it would lower the temperature by 0.05 degrees Fahrenheit in 85 years. But what's the cost? Billions of dollars and millions of jobs. And, you know, it just goes on, depending on which way you want to interpret things. And at some point,
well, do you think anything can get done, Doctor? Do you think anything can get done? Montel Williams was lamenting, and many others on the right and the left have been lamenting, that it is very unlikely anything gets done in this next year. Maybe that's the nature of the beast, but that's frustrating. Nikki Haley touching on that as a failure on the part of both parties. What do you think?
Well, you know, if he would actually open the dialogue, the thing that he talks about, something could get done. But he doesn't even talk to the Democrats. So how are you going to, in a pluralistic society, make any progress if you just have a pen and a phone? And you're going to just try to dictate the way
Well, what would you do, Doctor,
done?
if you became president? And you're a soft-spoken but a very congenial fellow, how would you bridge that divide?
I would open the dialogue, and I would make it visible to the public. The very thing that he said he would do back when he was running in 2008, but he never did. Because if the public is privy to those conversations, then they automatically have an opportunity to see who's the stick in the mud and who's really working on their behalf. And I think that will modify the behavior of people quite significantly.
That's interesting, Montel. In other words, it starts with the president. He's the big chief.
It most definitely does. I'm just wondering what Dr. Carson thought of Nikki Haley's speech this evening, because that was one that seemed to be not necessarily conciliatory, but one that said, look, we get that we as Republicans are part of the responsibility, but what we want to do right now is step up to the plate and work across the lines, basically, to get things done. So, Dr. Carson, what do you think about that speech?
And I think that is the right attitude. You know, if we continue, you know, this tit for tat, and because you did this to me, I'm going to do this to you, it's not going to work. Somebody at some point has to be the adult if we're going to get things done. You have to realize that this is the first generation that is going to do worse than their parents, and that's going to be the beginning of a downward spiral unless together we decide that we're going to put an end to the bickering and actually solve the problems. There's not a single problem that can't be resolved with common sense if you remove the politics and the ego.
All right. Dr. Carson, thank you very much for calling. We know you're going to be busy. I look forward to seeing you Thursday. I had the pleasure of talking to your wife early this week on Fox Business, and she did confirm that you do have a man cave, a people cave that can hold. He does.
Does he have a man cave?
100 people. That's not a man cave. That's like a man palace.
I'm just wondering, Dr. Carson, how come
real quick.
Armstrong Williams hasn't invited me to that man cave? We'll talk later.
Oh, that's a whole nother story. Dr. Carson, I look forward to seeing you Thursday. Be well. My best to you and your family.